Question 1. Which of the following best describes the principle of indemnity as applied to personal lines insurance in Maine? A. Ensuring that the insured profits from a loss. B. Restoring the insured to the financial position they were in before the loss. C. Providing coverage only for predictable and intentional losses. D. Guaranteeing that the insured receives the market value of the damaged property. Correct answer. B. Restoring the insured to the financial position they were in before the loss. Explanation. The principle of indemnity is fundamental in personal lines insurance. It ensures that the insured is restored to their financial position prior to the loss without profiting from it. B. This principle helps prevent moral hazard by ensuring that insurance does not become a source of profit. Option A is incorrect as it contradicts the principle by suggesting a profit. Option C is incorrect because insurance typically covers unpredictable and accidental losses. Option D is incorrect as insurance settlements often consider the actual cash value or replacement cost rather than market value. Question 2. Sarah, a resident of Maine, has a personal auto policy PAP that includes uninsured and insured motorist coverage. Part C. While driving, she is hit by a driver who does not have insurance. Sarah incurs medical expenses of $10,000 and vehicle damage costs of $15,000. Her uninsured and insured motorist coverage limit is $20,000 for bodily injury and $25,000 for property damage. How much will her insurance pay for these expenses? A. $10,000 for medical expenses and $15,000 for vehicle damage. B. $20,000 for medical expenses and $15,000 for vehicle damage. C. $10,000 for medical expenses and $25,000 for vehicle damage. D. $20,000 for medical expenses and $25,000 for vehicle damage. Question 2. Sarah, a resident of Maine, has a personal auto policy PAP that includes uninsured and insured motorist coverage. Part C. While driving, she is hit by a driver who does not have insurance. Sarah incurs medical expenses of $10,000 and vehicle damage costs of $15,000. Her uninsured and insured motorist coverage limit is $20,000 for bodily injury and $25,000 for property damage. How much will her insurance pay for these expenses? A. $10,000 for medical expenses and $15,000 for vehicle damage. B. $20,000 for medical expenses and $15,000 for vehicle damage. C. $10,000 for medical expenses and $25,000 for vehicle damage. D. $20,000 for medical expenses and $25,000 for vehicle damage. Question 3. In Maine, which of the following is NOT typically covered under a standard homeowner's insurance policy? A. Damage to the dwelling caused by fire. B. Theft of personal property from within the home. C. Flood damage to the home. D. Liability coverage for injuries sustained by a guest on the property. Correct answer. C. Flood damage to the home. Explanation. Standard homeowners insurance policies do not typically cover flood damage. C. Flood coverage is usually provided through a separate flood insurance policy, such as those available under the National Flood Insurance Program and FIP. Options A, B, and D are typically covered under a standard homeowners policy. Fire damage to the dwelling, theft of personal property from within the home, and liability coverage for injuries sustained by a guest on the property are standard coverages included in most homeowners policies. Question 4. In Maine, what is the primary purpose of the personal umbrella policy? A. To provide coverage for damages to the insured's personal property beyond the limits of their homeowner's policy. B. To offer additional liability coverage above the limits of the insured's underlying policies. C. To cover flood damage that is not included in standard homeowners insurance. D. To replace the insured's auto policy in case of a total loss. Correct answer. B. To offer additional liability coverage above the limits of the insured's underlying policies. Explanation. The primary purpose of a personal umbrella policy is to provide additional liability coverage beyond the limits of the insured's underlying policies, such as homeowners or auto insurance. B. This type of policy helps protect against significant claims and lawsuits, offering higher liability limits and broader coverage. Option A is incorrect as the umbrella policy focuses on liability rather than personal property. Option C is incorrect because flood insurance is a separate policy typically offered through the National Flood Insurance Program and FIP. Option D is incorrect because the umbrella policy supplements existing coverage rather than replacing it. Question 5. Mrs. Thompson, a Maine resident, has a personal auto policy PAP with liability coverage. She accidentally hits a pedestrian while driving, causing serious injury. The pedestrian files a lawsuit for medical expenses, lost wages, and pain and suffering. Mrs. Thompson's liability coverage is insufficient to cover the claim. What should Mrs. Thompson do in this situation to address the remaining liability? A. Use her health insurance to cover the pedestrian's medical expenses. B. File her claim under the uninsured motorist coverage. C. Rely on her personal umbrella policy to cover the excess liability. D. Apply for financial assistance from the state. Correct answer. C. Rely on her personal umbrella policy to cover the excess liability. Explanation. In this scenario, Mrs. Thompson should rely on her personal umbrella policy to cover the excess liability. C. The umbrella policy provides additional liability coverage above the limits of her underlying auto policy, which is crucial in situations where the primary policy's limits are insufficient to cover the claim. Option A is incorrect as health insurance does not cover third-party medical expenses. Option B is incorrect because uninsured motorist coverage applies when the at-fault driver is uninsured, not when the insured's liability limits are exceeded. Option D is incorrect because state financial assistance is not a viable solution for covering excess liability in this context. Question 6. Which of the following is a key benefit of inland marine insurance for personal property in Maine? A. It provides coverage exclusively for real estate properties. B. It covers personal property both on and off the insured's premises. C. It replaces standard homeowners insurance. D. It offers flood coverage for personal property. Correct answer. B. It covers personal property both on and off the insured's premises. Explanation. Inland marine insurance provides coverage for personal property both on and off the insured's premises. B. This type of insurance is beneficial for protecting valuable items such as jewelry, fine art, and electronics that may be transported or used in various locations. Option A is incorrect as inland marine insurance is not limited to real estate properties. Option C is incorrect because it does not replace standard homeowners insurance but rather supplements it. Option D is incorrect because flood coverage is typically provided through a separate flood insurance policy, not through inland marine insurance. Question 7. In Maine, which of the following coverages is not typically included in a standard homeowners insurance policy but can be added through an endorsement? A. Dwelling coverage. B. Personal property coverage. C. Earthquake coverage. D. Liability coverage. Correct answer. C. Earthquake coverage. Explanation. Standard homeowners insurance policies generally do not include earthquake coverage. C. This coverage can be added through an endorsement or purchased as a separate policy. Dwelling coverage. A. Personal property coverage. B. And liability coverage. D. Are typically included in standard homeowners insurance policies. Earthquake coverage is considered an exclusion and needs to be specifically added if desired by the policyholder. Question 8. Mr. Smith, a resident of Maine, owns a valuable collection of antique furniture. He is concerned about the risks of damage or theft. Which type of policy should Mr. Smith consider to ensure adequate coverage for his collection? A. Standard homeowners insurance. B. Personal auto policy. C. Personal umbrella policy. D. Inland marine insurance. Correct answer. D. Inland marine insurance. Explanation. Mr. Smith should consider inland marine insurance. D. To ensure adequate coverage for his valuable collection of antique furniture. Inland marine insurance provides specialized coverage for personal property that may not be fully covered under a standard homeowners insurance policy. This type of insurance is designed to protect valuable items that are often transported or used in various locations. Standard homeowners insurance may not offer sufficient coverage for high-value items. Personal auto policy B and personal umbrella policy C are not relevant to the coverage of personal property such as antique furniture. Question 9. Which principle ensures that an insurance policyholder in Maine cannot profit from a loss but can only be compensated to the extent of their actual loss? A. Principle of utmost good faith. B. Principle of indemnity. C. Principle of insurable interest. D. Principle of subrogation. Correct answer. B. Principle of indemnity. Explanation. The principle of indemnity B ensures that an insurance policyholder cannot profit from a loss but can only be compensated to the extent of their actual loss. This principle is fundamental to insurance, ensuring that the insured is restored to their financial position prior to the loss. The principle of utmost good faith A requires both parties to act honestly and disclose all relevant information. The principle of insurable interest C requires the policyholder to have a financial interest in the insured property or person. The principle of subrogation D allows the insurer to pursue a third party responsible for the loss after compensating the insured. Question 10. In Maine, what is the primary purpose of a personal umbrella policy? A. To provide coverage for physical damage to personal property. B. To extend coverage limits and provide additional liability protection. C. To cover medical expenses for the insured. D. To replace a standard homeowners policy. Correct answer. B. To extend coverage limits and provide additional liability protection. Explanation. The primary purpose of a personal umbrella policy B is to extend coverage limits and provide additional liability protection beyond the limits of underlying policies such as homeowners, auto or watercraft insurance. It acts as an extra layer of protection against major claims and lawsuits. It does not cover physical damage to personal property A, medical expenses for the insured C, or replace a standard homeowners policy D. Question 11. Mrs. Anderson, a resident of Maine, recently had her home damaged in a flood. She had a standard homeowners insurance policy but did not purchase any additional flood insurance. Which of the following best describes her situation? A. Her homeowners insurance will fully cover the flood damage. B. She can file a claim under the National Flood Insurance Program NFIP. C. She is not covered for flood damage because it is excluded from standard homeowners policies. D. Her homeowners insurance will cover only a portion of the flood damage. Correct answer. C. She is not covered for flood damage because it is excluded from standard homeowners policies. Explanation. Mrs. Anderson is not covered for flood damage. C. Because flood damage is excluded from standard homeowners insurance policies. To be covered for flood damage, she would need to purchase the separate flood insurance policy through the National Flood Insurance Program NFIP or a private insurer. Standard homeowners insurance does not provide coverage for flood-related losses. Question 12. In Maine, which of the following best describes the principle of utmost good faith in insurance? A. Both the insurer and the insured must act honestly and disclose all relevant information. B. The insurer agrees to pay for any losses incurred by the insured. C. The insured must have a financial interest in the insured property. D. The insurer has the right to pursue a third party responsible for the loss. Correct answer A. Both the insurer and the insured must act honestly and disclose all relevant information. Explanation. The principle of utmost good faith A requires both the insurer and the insured to act honestly and disclose all relevant information when entering into an insurance contract. This principle is fundamental to the insurance industry, ensuring that both parties are transparent and trustworthy. The principle of indemnity B ensures that the insurer compensates the insured for actual losses. The principle of insurable interest C requires the insured to have a financial stake in the insured property. The principle of subrogation D allows the insurer to pursue a third party responsible for the loss after compensating the insured. Question 13. In Maine, what is the primary purpose of uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage in a personal auto policy? A. To cover damage to the insured's vehicle caused by an uninsured driver. B. To cover medical expenses for the insured and passengers injured by an uninsured or underinsured driver. C. To cover legal fees if the insured is sued by an uninsured driver. D. To provide rental car reimbursement when the insured's vehicle is being repaired. Correct answer. B. To cover medical expenses for the insured and passengers injured by an uninsured or underinsured driver. Explanation. Uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage primarily covers medical expenses for the insured and passengers. B. If they are injured in an accident caused by a driver who has no insurance or insufficient insurance. It does not primarily cover damage to the insured's vehicle. A. Legal fees. C. Or rental car reimbursement. D. Question 14. Mr. Harris, a resident of Maine, has a E3 dwelling policy. During a storm, a tree falls and damages the roof of his rental property. Which of the following coverages would apply to the repair of the roof? A. Coverage dwelling. B. Coverage B. Other structures. C. Coverage C. Personal property. D. Coverage D. Fair rental value. Correct answer, A. Coverage dwelling. Explanation. In a D3 dwelling policy covered it was dwelling A applies to the repair or replacement of the dwelling structure itself, including the roof. Coverage B. B applies to other structures on the property. Coverage C. C applies to personal property. And coverage D. D applies to the loss of rental income due to a covered loss. Question 15. In Maine, which of the following best describes the principle of indemnity in insurance? A. The insurer agrees to cover any loss without limit. B. The insured must disclose all material facts to the insurer. C. The insurer agrees to restore the insured to the same financial position as before the loss. D. The insured must have a legal interest in the insured property. Correct answer. C. The insurer agrees to restore the insured to the same financial position as before the loss. Explanation. The principle of indemnity. C means that the insurer agrees to compensate the insured to restore them to the same financial position as before the loss occurred, without allowing the insured to profit from the insurance. It does not imply unlimited coverage. The requirement to disclose material facts. B, which is related to utmost good faith or having a legal interest in the property. D, which is related to insurable interest. Question 16. In Maine, which of the following perils is typically excluded from a standard homeowner's insurance policy? HO3. A. Fire. B. Theft. C. Flood. D. Windstorm. Correct answer. C. Flood. Explanation. A standard homeowner's insurance policy HO3 covers various perils such as fire, theft and windstorm. A. B. D. However, flood C is typically excluded and requires separate coverage, usually through the National Flood Insurance Program (NFIP) or a private flood insurance policy. Question 17. Ms. Lopez lives in Maine and has a personal umbrella policy with a $1 million limit. She is found liable for a car accident that resulted in $750,000 in bodily injury claims. Her underlying auto insurance policy has a $300,000 limit for bodily injury. How much will her personal umbrella policy pay? A. $300,000. B. $450,000. C. $750,000. D. $1 million. Correct answer. B. $450,000. Explanation. A personal umbrella policy provides additional liability coverage above the limits of the insured's underlying policies. In this scenario, the bodily injury claims total $750,000. The underlying auto policy pays $300,000, leaving $450,000 uncovered. The personal umbrella policy will pay the remaining $450,000. B. Question 18. In Maine, what is the main purpose of the insurance regulation function performed by the State Insurance Department? A. To set insurance premiums. B. To ensure the solvency of insurance companies and protect consumers. C. To sell insurance policies directly to consumers. D. To manage federal insurance programs. Correct answer. B. To ensure the solvency of insurance companies and protect consumers. Explanation. The main purpose of insurance regulation by the State Insurance Department. B. Is to ensure the financial solvency of insurance companies and to protect consumers from unfair practices. The department does not set premiums. A. Sell policies directly. C. Or manage federal programs. D. This regulation includes overseeing the licensing of insurance companies and agents, monitoring their financial health, and enforcing consumer protection laws. Question 19. Which of the following best describes the principle of indemnity in the context of personal lines insurance in Maine? A. The insured should profit from a covered loss. B. The insured should be restored to the same financial position as before the loss. C. The insured must pay a deductible before receiving any payment. D. The insurer guarantees a payout regardless of the loss amount. Correct answer. B. The insured should be restored to the same financial position as before the loss. Explanation. The principle of indemnity, B, states that insurance should restore the insured to the same financial position they were in before the loss without profit. This principle ensures that the insured is compensated fairly for their loss but does not receive more than the actual value of the loss. Options A, C, and D do not accurately describe the principle of indemnity. Question 20. Mr. Smith from Maine has a homeowner's insurance policy HO3 that includes coverage for personal property. During a storm, a tree falls and damages his fence, a detached garage, and several valuable items stored in the garage. Which part of his policy covers the damage to his valuable items? A. Coverage A. Dwelling. B. Coverage B. Other structures. C. Coverage C. Personal property. D. Coverage D. Loss of use. Correct answer. C. Coverage C. Personal property. Explanation. Homeowners insurance policy HO3 includes different parts for various types of coverage. Coverage C specifically covers personal property, including valuable items stored in the garage. Coverage A applies to the dwelling itself. Coverage B applies to other structures like the fence and detached garage. And coverage D covers additional living expenses if the home is uninhabitable. Question 21. In Maine, what is the purpose of an increased cost of compliance, a coverage in a flood insurance policy? A. To cover the cost of replacing personal belongings after a flood. B. To pay for measures to bring a flood-damaged building into compliance with local floodplain management laws. C. To cover temporary housing expenses after a flood. D. To reimburse for business interruption losses due to flooding. Correct answer. B. To pay for measures to bring a flood-damaged building into compliance with local floodplain management laws. Explanation. Increased cost of compliance like coverage B is part of a flood insurance policy and is designed to help pay for the cost of bringing a flood-damaged building into compliance with local floodplain management laws and regulations. This can include expenses related to elevating, relocating, or demolishing the structure. ICC does not cover personal belongings. A. Temporary housing. C. Or business interruption losses. D. Question 22. In Maine, which of the following best describes the role of uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage? ECA personal auto policy PAP. A. It covers the cost of repairing the insured's vehicle regardless of fault. B. It provides liability coverage for bodily injury and property damage to others. C. It pays for medical expenses for the insured and passengers after an accident. D. It compensates the insured for bodily injury and property damage caused by a driver with insufficient or no insurance. Correct answer. D. It compensates the insured for bodily injury and property damage caused by a driver with insufficient or no insurance. Explanation. Uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage D is designed to protect the insured if they are involved in an accident with a driver who either does not have insurance or does not have sufficient insurance to cover the damages. It compensates for bodily injury and property damage caused by such drivers. Options A, B, and C describe other types of coverages within a PAP but do not specifically address the purpose of uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage. Question 23. Ms. Johnson from Maine has a personal umbrella policy PUP that provides additional liability coverage above her homeowners and auto insurance policies. While hosting a large party at her home, a guest slips on the wet floor, resulting in serious injury. Ms. Johnson is sued for medical expenses and pain and suffering. How does her personal umbrella policy respond? A. It covers the legal fees but not the medical expenses. B. It covers the medical expenses only. C. It provides additional liability coverage for both the legal fees and medical expenses. D. It does not cover any expenses related to the incident. Correct answer. C. It provides additional liability coverage for both the legal fees and medical expenses. Explanation. A personal umbrella policy PUP C provides additional liability coverage above and beyond the limits of the insured's primary policies, such as homeowners and auto insurance, in the scenario where Ms. Johnson is sued for a guest's injury. The PUP would cover both the legal fees and any awarded medical expenses or pain and suffering, provided the primary policy's limits have been exceeded. Options A, B, and D do not accurately reflect the scope of coverage provided by a PUP. Correct answer. C. It provides additional liability coverage for both the legal fees and medical expenses. Explanation. A personal umbrella policy, PUP C, provides additional liability coverage above and beyond the limits of the insured's primary policies, such as homeowners and auto insurance, in the scenario where MS. Johnson is sued for a guest's injury. The PUP would cover both the legal fees and any awarded medical expenses or pain and suffering, provided the primary policy's limits have been exceeded. Options A, B, and D do not accurately reflect the scope of coverage provided by a PUP. Correct answer. B. Both parties to the insurance contract must act honestly and disclose all relevant facts. Explanation. The concept of utmost good faith, B, is fundamental in insurance contracts, requiring both the insurer and the insured to act honestly and disclose all material facts. This principle ensures transparency and trust between the parties. The insurer is not obligated to pay claims promptly and fairly under this principle, although it is a general expectation of good business practice. Options C and D do not reflect the concept of utmost good faith accurately, as the insured is not required to accept any settlement offer and the insurer cannot cancel the policy without valid reasons. Question 25. In Maine, what is the primary purpose of a personal articles floater in inland marine insurance? A. To provide liability coverage for personal injuries. B. To cover specific high-value items against risks not covered by standard homeowners policies. C. To insure against flood damage. D. To provide coverage for additional living expenses. Correct answer. B. To cover specific high-value items against risks not covered by standard homeowners policies. Explanation. The personal articles floater (PAF-B) in inland marine insurance is designed to provide coverage for specific high-value items such as jewelry, art, and electronics against a broader range of risks than standard homeowners policies. It ensures these valuable items are insured for their full value against loss or damage. Options A, C, and D are incorrect as they do not describe the specific purpose of a personal articles floater. Question 26. Mr. Stevens, who lives in Maine, has a personal auto policy (PAP) with liability coverage. Part A. He was involved in an accident where he was at fault and the other party's vehicle was damaged. The cost to repair the other party's vehicle is $10,000. How does Mr. Stevens' liability coverage respond? A. Pays for the repair of Mr. Stevens' vehicle. B. It covers Mr. Stevens' medical expenses. C. Pays for the repair of the other party's vehicle up to the policy limits. D. It provides coverage for Mr. Stevens' lost wages. Correct answer. C. It pays for the repair of the other party's vehicle up to the policy limits. Explanation. Liability coverage. Part A. C. In a personal auto policy, PAP covers damages that the insured is legally responsible for due to an accident, including property damage to the other party's vehicle. In this scenario, Mr. Stevens' liability coverage would pay for the repair of the other party's vehicle up to the policy limits. Options A, B, and D do not accurately describe the purpose of liability coverage, as it does not cover the insured's vehicle repairs, medical expenses, or lost wages. Question 27. In Maine, what is the purpose of the increased cost of compliance coverage in a flood insurance policy? A. To cover additional expenses incurred to bring a damaged building into compliance with local floodplain management laws. B. To pay for temporary housing expenses while the insured's home is being repaired. C. To cover personal property losses due to flood damage. D. To provide liability coverage for flood-related injuries. Correct answer A. To cover additional expenses incurred to bring a damaged building into compliance with local floodplain management laws. Explanation. The increased cost of compliance coverage in a flood insurance policy is designed to cover additional costs incurred to bring a flood-damaged building into compliance with local floodplain management regulations. This coverage helps insureds meet the requirements for elevating, floodproofing, relocating, or demolishing their buildings to reduce future flood risk. Options B, C, and D do not correctly describe the purpose of ICC coverage, as it does not cover temporary housing expenses, personal property losses, or liability for flood-related injuries. Question 28. In Maine, which of the following best describes the medical payments coverage? Part B. In a personal auto policy, PAP. A. It covers medical expenses for the insured and passengers in the insured's vehicle regardless of fault. B. It pays for the repair costs of the insured's vehicle after an accident. C. It provides liability coverage for injuries sustained by other drivers in an accident caused by the insured. D. It covers the insured's legal fees if sued for an accident involving their vehicle. Correct answer A. It covers medical expenses for the insured and passengers in the insured's vehicle regardless of fault. Explanation. Medical payments coverage, Part BA in a personal auto policy PAP, covers medical expenses for the insured and their passengers resulting from an accident, regardless of who was at fault. This coverage is designed to help with immediate medical costs incurred due to injuries sustained in a vehicle accident. Options B, C, and D do not accurately describe medical payments coverage, as it does not cover vehicle repair costs, liability for other drivers' injuries, or legal fees. Question 29. Mrs. Thompson, a Maine resident, recently purchased a new home and is evaluating her homeowner's insurance options. She wants to ensure that her policy covers damage from windstorms, but is concerned about exclusions related to other types of natural disasters. Which homeowner's policy type is best suited to her needs? A. Ho1, B. Ho2, C. Ho3, D. height. Correct answer C. Ho3. Explanation. The Ho3 policy C is the most comprehensive homeowners policy and provides open perils coverage for the dwelling, meaning it covers all perils except those specifically excluded, such as flooding or earthquakes. This policy type would cover damage from windstorms, which addresses Mrs. Thompson's concern. Options A and B are less comprehensive, covering only named perils and not providing the broad protection of the Ho3. Option D, Ho8 is designed for older homes and provides coverage similar to Ho1, but often with some adjustments for older construction. Question 30. What does self-insured retention ECA personal umbrella policy refer to? A. The amount an insured must pay out of pocket before the umbrella policy provides coverage. B. The coverage provided for damages exceeding the limits of an underlying policy. C. The maximum amount the umbrella policy will pay for any single claim. D. The total amount the insurer will deduct from the insured's claim payment. Correct answer A. The amount an insured must pay out of pocket before the umbrella policy provides coverage. Explanation. Self-insured retention in a personal umbrella policy is the amount the insured must cover out of pocket before the umbrella policy starts to pay. It is a type of deductible that applies to certain claims where the primary insurance coverage limits are exhausted. Options B and C incorrectly describe aspects of coverage or limits rather than the retention. Option D does not accurately reflect the concept of self-insured retention, as it is not a deduction from claim payments but a retention amount before additional coverage applies. Question 31. What is the role of the North Dakota Real Estate Commission? A. To regulate real estate licensees and protect the public interest. B. To represent real estate agents in legal matters. C. To set property values in the state. D. To provide marketing services for real estate agents. Correct answer. B. It provides coverage for personal property on a worldwide basis, including items lost or stolen while traveling. Explanation. Personal property coverage, coverage C. B. In a homeowner's insurance policy covers personal property on a worldwide basis, meaning it protects items regardless of their location, including when traveling. This global coverage ensures that personal belongings are protected even if they are lost or stolen outside of the home. Option A is incorrect, as coverage extends to items in vehicles as well. Option C is incorrect because personal property used for business purposes may be excluded or require additional coverage. Option D does not accurately describe the scope of coverage, as coverage C typically provides protection for a broader range of perils. Question 32. Mr. Smith, a resident of Maine, has a personal auto policy with a $500 deductible for comprehensive coverage. After a severe hailstorm, his vehicle sustained significant damage. He is wondering how much he will need to pay out of pocket for the repairs, assuming the damage amount exceeds his deductible. What should Mr. Smith consider? A. He will pay the full amount of the repair costs minus the deductible. B. He will only need to pay the deductible amount with the insurer covering the rest. C. He will pay a percentage of the repair costs, which will be determined by the insurer. D. He will pay the deductible plus any amount above the vehicle's market value. Correct answer. B. He will only need to pay the deductible amount with the insurer covering the rest. Explanation. In a comprehensive coverage claim under a personal auto policy, Mr. Smith will only need to pay the $500 deductible. B. The insurer will cover the remaining repair costs after this deductible is paid. Option A is incorrect because the insurer covers costs above the deductible. Option C is incorrect because the deductible is a fixed amount, not a percentage. Option D is incorrect as the deductible is not based on the vehicle's market value but is a fixed amount specified in the policy. Question 33. What is a key characteristic of an HOTU homeowner's insurance policy in Maine? A. It offers open perils coverage for both the dwelling and personal property. B. It provides coverage for specific named perils only for both the dwelling and personal property. C. It includes coverage for property damage caused by earthquakes and floods. D. It is primarily intended for tenants and does not cover the dwelling itself. Correct answer. B. It provides coverage for specific named perils only for both the dwelling and personal property. Explanation. The HOTU policy, B, is known as the broad form and provides coverage for a specific list of named perils for both the dwelling and personal property. This policy type is more limited compared to the HO3, which offers open perils coverage for the dwelling. Option A describes the HO3 policy, which provides broader coverage. Option C is incorrect because earthquakes and floods are typically excluded and require separate policies. Option D describes the HO4, which is designed for renters and does not cover the dwelling. Question 34. In Maine, which of the following statements about uninsured motorist coverage? Part C. In a personal auto policy is correct. A. It provides coverage for damage to your vehicle caused by an uninsured motorist, regardless of who is at fault. B. It only provides coverage for bodily injury to the insured caused by an uninsured motorist. C. It offers protection for damage to your vehicle and personal property caused by an uninsured motorist, but only if the uninsured motorist is legally at fault. D. It covers medical expenses for passengers in your vehicle if the accident is caused by an uninsured motorist. Correct answer. B. It only provides coverage for bodily injury to the insured caused by an uninsured motorist. Explanation. Uninsured motorist coverage. Part C. B. In a personal auto policy provides coverage primarily for bodily injury sustained by the insured and passengers due to the fault of an uninsured motorist. This coverage does not typically include damage to the insured's vehicle or personal property that would be covered under separate provisions such as collision coverage or comprehensive coverage. Option A is incorrect because it does not accurately describe the coverage, which does not include damage to the vehicle. Option C is misleading as it does not align with the typical scope of uninsured motorist coverage. Option D is incorrect because medical expenses coverage is often a separate component under medical payments coverage. Part B. Question 35. Jane, who lives in Maine, recently experienced a burst pipe in her home, resulting in significant water damage to her personal belongings. Her homeowner's insurance policy includes coverage C for personal property. What should Jane expect regarding her coverage? A. The policy will cover all damage to personal belongings without any exclusions. B. The policy will cover personal property damage only if the cause of loss is specifically listed in the policy. C. The policy will cover damage to personal belongings from the burst pipe but may exclude certain types of damage, such as mold or mildew. D. The policy will not cover any personal property damage from the burst pipe as it is considered a maintenance issue. Correct answer. C. The policy will cover damage to personal belongings from the burst pipe but may exclude certain types of damage, such as mold or mildew. Explanation. Coverage C for personal property and a homeowner's insurance policy. C generally covers damage to personal belongings caused by perils like water damage from a burst pipe. However, there may be exclusions for certain types of damage, such as mold or mildew, which can result from water exposure. Option A is incorrect, as policies often include exclusions and limitations. Option B is partially correct but does not cover the full scope of potential exclusions. Option D is incorrect because water damage from a burst pipe is usually covered unless excluded by specific policy terms. Question 36. Under Maine's personal umbrella policy, which of the following is typically covered? A. Liability coverage for bodily injury and property damage above the limits of underlying policies. B. Direct coverage for damage to the insured's property. C. Coverage for business-related liabilities and professional negligence. D. Auto insurance coverage for physical damage to the insured's vehicle. Correct answer A. Liability coverage for bodily injury and property damage above the limits of underlying policies. Explanation. A personal umbrella policy A provides additional liability coverage for bodily injury and property damage claims that exceed the limits of underlying policies, such as auto or homeowners insurance. It is designed to offer higher limits and broader coverage for serious claims. Option B is incorrect, as an umbrella policy does not cover direct damage to the insured's property. Option C is incorrect because business-related liabilities and professional negligence are typically not covered by a personal umbrella policy. They may require separate business insurance. Option D is incorrect, as it does not cover physical damage to vehicles, as this would be addressed by auto insurance. Question 37. In Maine, which of the following accurately describes the loss of use coverage under a homeowner's insurance policy? A. It provides reimbursement for temporary living expenses if the insured's home is uninhabitable due to a covered peril. B. It covers the loss of personal property due to theft or damage. C. It pays for repairs to the home caused by fire or other perils. D. It offers coverage for liability claims arising from injuries occurring on the insured's property. Correct answer A. Provides reimbursement for temporary living expenses if the insured's home is uninhabitable due to a covered peril. Explanation. Loss of use coverage A. Under a homeowner's insurance policy provides reimbursement for additional living expenses incurred if the insured's home becomes uninhabitable due to a covered peril, such as a fire or severe storm. This coverage helps pay for costs such as temporary accommodation and meals. Option B pertains to personal property coverage, not loss of use. Option C is related to dwelling coverage, which covers repairs to the home itself. Option D is related to personal liability coverage, which does not fall under loss of use. Question 38. Which of the following is true regarding personal effects coverage under an inland marine insurance policy in Maine? A. It provides coverage for personal property while it is in transit over water or land. B. It only covers high-value items such as jewelry and artwork within the insured's home. C. It offers protection for property that is regularly used in a business setting. D. It is a component of a homeowner's insurance policy designed for valuable personal items. Correct answer A. It provides coverage for personal property while it is in transit over water or land. Explanation. Personal effects coverage A under an inland marine insurance policy provides coverage for personal property while it is in transit over water or land. This type of coverage is designed to protect valuable items that are not covered under standard homeowners policies, especially during travel or transportation. Option B is incorrect, as personal effects coverage is broader and not limited to high-value items or only within the home. Option C is incorrect because it does not specifically cover business-related property. Option D describes coverage under homeowners insurance rather than inland marine insurance. Question 39. David, a resident of Maine, has just purchased a new personal watercraft. He wants to ensure that he has adequate insurance coverage for potential accidents on the water. What type of insurance policy should David consider? A. Personal auto policy. B. Homeowners insurance policy. C. Watercraft insurance policy. D. Personal umbrella policy. Question 39. David, a resident of Maine, has just purchased a new personal watercraft. He wants to ensure that he has adequate insurance coverage for potential accidents on the water. What type of insurance policy should David consider? A. Personal auto policy. B. Homeowners insurance policy. C. Watercraft insurance policy. D. Personal umbrella policy. Question 40. In Maine, what is a key benefit of having a personal umbrella policy? A. It provides coverage for damages that exceed the limits of underlying personal, auto, or homeowners policies. B. It covers the cost of medical bills for injuries sustained by the insured's family members. C. It includes coverage for flood damage to the insured's property. D. It reimburses the insured for losses related to identity theft. Correct answer A. It provides coverage for damages that exceed the limits of underlying personal, auto, or homeowners policies. Explanation: the personal umbrella policy A offers additional liability coverage above the limits of underlying personal, auto, or homeowners policies. It is designed to provide broader coverage for claims that exceed the limits of these primary policies. Option B is incorrect because medical payments for family members are typically covered by the underlying auto or homeowners policies, not the umbrella policy. Option C is incorrect as flood coverage is provided by a separate flood insurance policy, not an umbrella policy. Option D is incorrect because identity theft protection is usually provided by specialized insurance policies or services. Question 41. Which coverage is typically excluded under Standard Dwelling Policy DPA 3 in Maine? A. Theft of personal property. B. Fire damage to the dwelling. C. Windstorm damage to the dwelling. D. Vandalism damage to the dwelling. Correct answer A. Theft of personal property. Explanation: under Standard Dwelling Policy DPA 3A, theft of personal property is typically excluded. DPA 3 policies are open peril or risk policies for the dwelling but usually exclude theft of personal property unless endorsed. Options B, C, and D are incorrect because fire damage, windstorm damage, and vandalism are covered perils under a E3 policy as it provides broad coverage for damage to the dwelling itself. Question 42. Jennifer recently moved to Maine and discovered that her new home was built in a flood-prone area. Her current homeowner's policy does not cover flood damage. What should Jennifer do to ensure she is protected against potential flood losses? A. Purchase an earthquake insurance policy. B. Add a flood endorsement to her current homeowner's policy. C. Obtain a flood insurance policy through the National Flood Insurance Program (NFIP). D. Increase the liability limits on her homeowner's insurance policy. Correct answer C. Obtain a flood insurance policy through the National Flood Insurance Program (NFIP). Explanation: Jennifer should obtain a flood insurance policy through the National Flood Insurance Program (NFIP). C. To ensure coverage for flood losses, as standard homeowners policies typically exclude flood damage. Option A is incorrect because earthquake insurance is unrelated to flood risks. Option B is incorrect because most standard homeowners policies cannot be endorsed for flood coverage. A separate flood policy is required. Option D is incorrect because increasing liability limits will not cover property damage from flooding. Question 43. In Maine, what is typically the primary purpose of a personal auto policy PAP coverage Part D? Coverage for damage to your auto. A. To cover medical expenses for injuries sustained by the insured in an accident. B. To provide liability coverage for damages caused to other vehicles or property. C. To cover the cost of repairing or replacing the insured's own vehicle after a covered loss. D. To offer protection against uninsured motorists causing damage to the insured's vehicle. Correct answer C. To cover the cost of repairing or replacing the insured's own vehicle after a covered loss. Explanation: coverage Part D of a personal auto policy PAP C is specifically designed to cover damage to the insured's own vehicle from collisions, comprehensive losses, or other specified perils. Option A is incorrect because medical expenses are covered under Part B medical payments coverage. Option B refers to liability coverage, which is part of the PAP. Option D pertains to coverage for damages caused by uninsured motorists, which is covered under Part C. Question 44. What is a primary feature of inland marine insurance in Maine? A. It covers property damage from natural disasters like earthquakes and floods. B. It provides coverage for personal property that is transported or moved from one location to another. C. It includes liability protection for damages caused by watercraft operations. D. It insures against damage caused by vandalism or malicious mischief. Correct answer. B. It provides coverage for personal property that is transported or moved from one location to another. Explanation. Inland marine insurance B is designed to cover personal property that is in transit or moved between locations, including items such as valuable personal property and equipment. Option A is incorrect because natural disasters like earthquakes and floods are covered by specialized policies. Option C refers to watercraft insurance, not inland marine insurance. Option D is incorrect as vandalism or malicious mischief coverage is typically included in other property insurance policies, not specifically inland marine insurance. Question 45. Tom has recently acquired a new home in Maine and wants to ensure his personal property is fully protected. He is concerned about risks such as theft and fire. Which type of policy would be most appropriate for Tom to purchase to cover these concerns? A. A dwelling policy D1 with added endorsements. B. A personal umbrella policy. C. A homeowner's insurance policy. D. A flood insurance policy. Correct answer. C. A homeowner's insurance policy. Explanation. A homeowner's insurance policy C is the most appropriate choice for Tom as it provides coverage for personal property against perils like theft and fire. Option A is less suitable because a EON policy is more limited in coverage compared to a homeowner's policy and may require additional endorsements for comprehensive protection. Option B is incorrect because a personal umbrella policy provides additional liability coverage above other policies but does not cover personal property losses directly. Option D is incorrect as flood insurance is specifically for flood-related damage, not general coverage for theft and fire. Question 46. In Maine, which of the following would NOT be covered under a standard homeowner's insurance policy HO3? A. Damage to the dwelling caused by a covered peril like fire. B. Loss of personal property due to a flood. C. Medical payments to others for injuries that occur on the insured's property. D. Loss of use coverage when the insured's home is uninhabitable due to a covered peril. Correct answer. B. Loss of personal property due to a flood. Explanation. A standard homeowner's insurance policy HO3B does not typically cover flood damage. This is specifically covered under a separate flood insurance policy. Option A is covered by an HO3 policy, which includes damage from covered perils like fire. Option C is also included as HO3 policies provide medical payments coverage for injuries on the insured's property. Option D is correct as well since HO3 policies include loss of use coverage if the home becomes uninhabitable due to a covered peril. Question 47. What is the purpose of a personal umbrella policy in Maine? A. To provide primary coverage for damages to an insured's personal vehicle. B. To extend liability coverage above the limits of other existing personal insurance policies. C. To cover the cost of repairing or replacing damaged personal property. D. To offer specialized coverage for inland marine items such as jewelry and art. Correct answer. B. To extend liability coverage above the limits of other existing personal insurance policies. Explanation. A personal umbrella policy B is designed to extend liability coverage beyond the limits of other personal insurance policies such as auto and homeowners policies. Option A is incorrect as this is not the purpose of a personal umbrella policy. It is intended for liability coverage. Option C is incorrect because personal property coverage is not the primary function of an umbrella policy. Option D is not correct as inland marine insurance covers valuable items, not the function of a personal umbrella policy. Question 48. Sarah recently moved into a new apartment in Maine and has a collection of valuable jewelry that she wants to ensure is covered. She already has a homeowner's insurance policy but wants to specifically protect her jewelry. What should Sarah do to achieve this? A. Purchase a separate earthquake insurance policy. B. Add a personal articles floater endorsement to her homeowner's insurance policy. C. Acquire flood insurance policy. D. Obtain a personal liability insurance policy. Correct answer. B. Add a personal articles floater endorsement to her homeowner's insurance policy. Explanation. To specifically cover valuable items like jewelry, Sarah should add a personal articles floater endorsement B to her existing homeowner's insurance policy. This endorsement provides enhanced coverage for specific high-value items. Option A is incorrect because earthquake insurance is not related to covering personal jewelry. Option C is incorrect as flood insurance is for flood-related damage, not personal property like jewelry. Option D is incorrect because personal liability insurance covers liability, not personal property coverage. Question 49. Which of the following is TRUE about the coverage provided by a standard dwelling policy DPA 3 in Maine? A. It provides broad form coverage that includes protection against all perils except those specifically excluded. B. It includes coverage for liability claims arising from personal injury on the insured property. C. It provides coverage for personal property of the insured. D. It only covers the dwelling and does not extend to any other structures or personal property. Correct answer A. It provides broad form coverage that includes protection against all perils except those specifically excluded. Explanation. A dwelling policy DP3 offers open peril coverage A, which means it provides protection against all risks except those specifically excluded in the policy. Option B is incorrect as liability coverage is not included in a E3. It covers property damage, not liability. Option C is incorrect because while DPA 3 covers the dwelling, personal property coverage requires an additional endorsement. Option D is incorrect as DPA 3 includes coverage for other structures and personal property with additional endorsements. Question 50. In the context of personal auto policy (PAP) in Maine, what does the uninsured underinsured motorist coverage typically provide? A. Coverage for damage to the insured's vehicle caused by an uninsured motorist. B. Coverage for medical expenses incurred by the insured in case of an accident. C. Coverage for damages resulting from an accident where the at-fault driver has insufficient insurance. D. Coverage for theft of personal property from the insured's vehicle. Correct answer. C. Coverage for damages resulting from an accident where the at-fault driver has insufficient insurance. Explanation. Uninsured underinsured motorist coverage C. Provides protection when the insured is involved in an accident with a driver who either has no insurance or insufficient coverage to pay for damages. Option A is incorrect because this coverage addresses liability, not damage to the insured's vehicle. Option B is incorrect as medical expenses are covered under medical payments coverage, not uninsured underinsured motorist coverage. Option D is incorrect since coverage for theft of personal property from the vehicle is typically under the comprehensive coverage part of the policy. Question 51. John has just bought a new boat and wants to ensure it is properly insured. His main concerns are liability for injuries caused to others and damage to the boat itself. Which type of insurance should John consider for comprehensive protection? A. Inland marine insurance. B. Personal umbrella insurance. C. Watercraft insurance. D. Earthquake insurance. Correct answer. C. Watercraft insurance. Explanation. For comprehensive protection of a boat including liability for injuries caused to others and damage to the boat, John should consider watercraft insurance. C. Watercraft insurance provides coverage for liability, medical payments, and physical damage to the boat. Option A is incorrect as inland marine insurance covers valuable personal property, not specifically watercraft. Option B is incorrect because personal umbrella insurance extends liability limits but does not cover physical damage to the boat. Option D is not relevant as earthquake insurance covers damage from earthquakes, not watercraft. Question 52. In Maine, under the standard homeowners policy HO3, which of the following perils is typically NOT covered? A. Fire. B. Theft. C. Flood. D. Vandalism. Correct answer. C. Flood. Explanation. A standard homeowners policy HO3 covers risks such as fire A, theft B, and vandalism D. However, flood damage is excluded and requires separate flood insurance C. This is in line with the general exclusions found in most homeowners policies where flood is a common exclusion. Question 53. Which of the following is a key feature of a personal umbrella policy in Maine? A. It provides coverage for specific types of physical damage to the insured's home. B. It offers liability coverage that extends beyond the limits of underlying policies. C. It includes coverage for loss of use of the insured's home. D. It covers damages caused by a vehicle collision. Correct answer. B. It offers liability coverage that extends beyond the limits of underlying policies. Explanation. A personal umbrella policy B provides additional liability coverage beyond the limits of existing underlying policies, such as auto or homeowners insurance. This type of policy is designed to offer higher liability limits and broader coverage. Option A is incorrect as the personal umbrella policy does not cover physical damage to the home. Option C is incorrect because loss of use is covered under homeowners insurance, not an umbrella policy. Option D is incorrect since vehicle collision damages are covered under auto insurance, not an umbrella policy. Question 54. Sarah recently renovated her old home and added several valuable items, including antiques and artwork. She wants to ensure that these new additions are fully protected. Which type of insurance or endorsement should Sarah consider to adequately cover these valuable items? A. Personal articles floater. B. Personal liability insurance. C. Earthquake insurance. D. Dwelling policy deeper 3. Correct answer A. Personal articles floater. Explanation. For protecting valuable items like antiques and artwork, Sarah should consider a personal articles floater A. This endorsement provides coverage for specific high-value items on a scheduled basis, ensuring they are adequately covered for risks not covered under a standard homeowners policy. Option B is incorrect because personal liability insurance covers liability, not specific items. Option C is not relevant to personal valuables unless they are damaged by an earthquake. Option D is incorrect as the dwelling policy deeper 3 is more suited for property damage to the dwelling, not specific high-value personal items. Question 55. Which of the following is a primary characteristic of a dwelling policy deeper 2 in Maine? A. It covers the dwelling and personal property on an open perils basis. B. It provides coverage for the dwelling and personal property on a named perils basis. C. It only covers the dwelling but not any personal property. D. It provides coverage for liability claims related to the dwelling. Correct answer. B. It provides coverage for the dwelling and personal property on a named perils basis. Explanation. The dwelling policy deeper 2, also known as the broad form, provides coverage for both the dwelling and personal property on a named perils basis. B. This means that only perils specifically listed in the policy are covered. Options A and C are incorrect because deeper 2 does not offer open perils coverage and it does cover personal property. Option D is incorrect as deeper 2 does not include liability coverage. This would require a separate liability policy or endorsement. Question 56. In Maine, what is a common exclusion found in most personal auto policies regarding coverage for personal injuries? A. Injuries sustained while using a rental vehicle. B. Injuries caused by the insured's intentional acts. C. Injuries that occur on private property. D. Injuries to passengers in the insured's vehicle. Correct answer. B. Injuries caused by the insured's intentional acts. Explanation. Personal auto policies typically exclude coverage for injuries resulting from the insured's intentional acts. B. Coverage is generally provided for accidents that are unintentional and not caused by deliberate actions. Option A is incorrect because rental vehicles are usually covered under the personal auto policy if the policyholder is driving. Option C is incorrect as coverage applies to accidents on private property. Option D is incorrect as personal injuries to passengers are usually covered. Question 57. John recently experienced a significant amount of damage to his home from a burst pipe, which was not explicitly covered under his standard homeowners policy. He wants to ensure that he has additional protection for similar events in the future. Which endorsement or policy should John consider? A. Personal articles floater. B. Equipment breakdown coverage. C. Flood insurance. D. Earthquake insurance. Correct answer. B. Equipment breakdown coverage. Explanation. For coverage of damages resulting from incidents like a burst pipe, which is typically not covered under a standard homeowners policy, John should consider equipment breakdown coverage. B. This endorsement provides coverage for the repair or replacement of systems and appliances damaged by mechanical breakdowns. Option A is incorrect because a personal articles floater is for valuable personal property. Option C is incorrect as flood insurance is for water damage from flooding, not from a burst pipe. Option D is not applicable unless there is a risk of earthquake damage. Question 58. Which of the following is true about the personal umbrella policy coverage in Maine? A. It provides coverage for claims related to damage caused by business operations conducted from the home. B. It covers the excess liability over and above the limits of underlying policies like auto and homeowners. C. It includes coverage for damage to rented property. D. It replaces the need for underlying auto and homeowners insurance. Correct answer. B. It covers the excess liability over and above the limits of underlying policies like auto and homeowners. Explanation. A personal umbrella policy is designed to provide excess liability coverage beyond the limits of underlying policies such as auto and homeowners insurance. B. This means it covers additional liability once the limits of those primary policies are exhausted. Option A is incorrect because business-related claims are generally excluded unless specifically endorsed. Option C is incorrect as umbrella policies do not typically cover damage to rented property. Option D is incorrect because the umbrella policy does not replace the need for underlying insurance but rather extends the liability coverage. Question 59. In Maine, which type of policy would be most appropriate for insuring a property used primarily for rental purposes? A. Homeowners policy, HO3. B. Dwelling policy, DP3. C. Personal umbrella policy. D. Flood insurance policy. Correct answer. B. Dwelling policy DP3. Explanation. A dwelling policy DP3 is often used to insure properties that are rented out to tenants. B. This policy covers both the dwelling and personal property on an open perils basis, making it suitable for rental properties. Option A is incorrect because homeowners policies HO3 are intended for owner-occupied residences. Option C is incorrect as personal umbrella policies provide excess liability coverage but do not cover property. Option D is incorrect because flood insurance is for flood damage, not rental properties specifically. Question 60. Emma recently purchased a new watercraft and is seeking coverage. She wants to ensure that her policy will cover liability for injuries caused by the watercraft as well as damage to the watercraft itself. Which type of insurance policy should Emma consider? A. Inland marine insurance. B. Watercraft insurance. C. Personal articles floater. D. Earthquake insurance. Correct answer. B. Watercraft insurance. Explanation. Watercraft insurance B is designed to cover both liability for injuries caused by the watercraft and damage to the watercraft itself. This type of policy includes coverage for liability, medical payments, and physical damage to the watercraft. Option A is incorrect because inland marine insurance typically covers movable property, not watercraft. Option C is incorrect as a personal articles floater covers valuable personal items but not watercraft. Option D is incorrect because earthquake insurance does not cover watercraft-related issues. Question 61. Which of the following statements is correct regarding coverage for additional living expenses under a dwelling policy in Maine? A. It covers the cost of temporary living arrangements if the insured's home becomes uninhabitable due to a covered peril. B. It provides reimbursement for the cost of repairs to the insured's home. C. It covers the replacement cost of personal property lost or damaged in the incident. D. It offers coverage for business income lost due to the damage of a commercial property. Correct answer A. It covers the cost of temporary living arrangements if the insured's home becomes uninhabitable due to a covered peril. Explanation. Under dwelling policy DP3, additional living expenses ill coverage A pays for temporary housing and other expenses incurred when the insured's dwelling becomes uninhabitable due to a covered peril. Option B is incorrect because repairs are covered under coverage A for the dwelling itself, not ALE. Option C pertains to personal property coverage rather than ALE. Option D is incorrect as business income losses are not covered under a standard dwelling policy but may be covered under business income insurance. Question 62. In Maine, which of the following is excluded from coverage under a standard homeowners policy HO3? A. Damage caused by a falling tree. B. Loss due to earthquake. C. Theft of personal property. D. Damage from a fire. Correct answer: B. Loss due to earthquake. Explanation: homeowners policy HO3 generally excludes coverage for earthquake damage. B. Which requires a separate earthquake insurance policy. Options A, C, and D are covered under a standard HO3 policy. Damage from falling trees, theft, and fire are all included. Question 63. James has a personal auto policy PAP. In Maine, he was recently involved in an accident where he was found at fault. The other driver was seriously injured, and the damages are expected to exceed his policy limits. What should James do to ensure he has adequate coverage? A. Increase his auto policy limits to meet potential future claims. B. Purchase a personal umbrella policy to provide additional liability coverage beyond his auto policy. C. Rely on his auto policy's liability coverage alone as it is sufficient. D. Cancel his existing policy and purchase a new one with higher limits. Correct answer: B. Purchase a personal umbrella policy to provide additional liability coverage beyond his auto policy. Explanation: a personal umbrella policy B is designed to provide additional liability coverage above the limits of underlying policies like the personal auto policy. This is crucial for covering excess damages in situations where policy limits are exceeded. Option A is partially correct but might not be enough without the umbrella policy. Option C is incorrect because relying solely on the auto policy could leave James exposed to significant out-of-pocket expenses. Option D is unnecessary as increasing limits on the existing policy alone does not address the need for additional coverage beyond the policy limits. Question 64. Which of the following best describes the insured auto definition under personal auto policy PAP in Maine? A. Any vehicle owned by the insured, including motorcycles and recreational vehicles. B. Only vehicles listed on the declarations page of the policy, including any newly acquired vehicles. C. Vehicles rented by the insured while their own vehicle is in the shop for repairs. D. Vehicles used for commercial purposes, such as delivery services. Correct answer: B. Only vehicles listed on the declarations page of the policy, including any newly acquired vehicles. Explanation: under personal auto policy PAP, the term insured auto B includes only those vehicles listed on the declarations page of the policy and any newly acquired vehicles, provided they are reported within a specified time frame. Option A is incorrect because motorcycles and recreational vehicles are generally not covered under standard PAP unless specifically included. Option C is incorrect because rented vehicles are not covered unless the rental coverage is specifically included or endorsed. Option D is incorrect as vehicles used for commercial purposes are typically not covered under a personal auto policy. Question 65. In Maine, which coverage is typically included under standard homeowners policy HO3 but requires an endorsement for full protection? A. Earthquake damage. B. Flood damage. C. Personal property while traveling outside the home. D. Damage from power failure. Correct answer: C. Personal property while traveling outside the home. Explanation: under a standard homeowners policy HO3, personal property is generally covered for losses both on and off the premises, but the extent of this coverage can be limited. An endorsement might be needed to extend coverage fully for personal property while traveling. C. Earthquake and flood damage, and B. Typically excluded from a standard HO3 and require separate policies. Damage from power failure, D, may be excluded or limited depending on the policy specifics, but does not require an endorsement for standard coverage. Question 66. Sophia's home insurance policy in Maine includes personal liability coverage. She recently hosted a party and a guest accidentally injured themselves due to a loose railing. Sophia is concerned about potential legal action from the injured party. What action should Sophia take to ensure adequate protection? A. Contact her insurance agent to file a claim under her personal liability coverage. B. Increase the deductible on her homeowner's policy to reduce her premium. C. Purchase an additional policy that covers injuries occurring at social events. D. Avoid further actions as her current policy already covers such incidents. Correct answer: A. Contact her insurance agent to file a claim under her personal liability coverage. Explanation: Sophie should contact her insurance agent to file a claim under her personal liability coverage. This coverage is designed to protect against legal liabilities for injuries to others on her property. Increasing the deductible B may reduce her premium but won't address the immediate need for liability protection. Option C is unnecessary because personal liability coverage typically extends to such incidents, and option D is too vague. Taking proactive steps to confirm and utilize coverage is essential. Question 67. Which of the following statements about coverage for damage to your auto, Part D under Personal Auto Policy PAP in Maine is correct? A. It covers damage to the insured vehicle only if the damage is caused by an uninsured motorist. B. It provides coverage for physical damage to the insured vehicle regardless of fault, including collision and comprehensive losses. C. It is only applicable if the vehicle is used for commercial purposes. D. It excludes coverage for damages resulting from theft unless the vehicle was stolen from a locked garage. Correct answer. B. It provides coverage for physical damage to the insured vehicle regardless of fault, including collision and comprehensive losses. Explanation. Coverage for damage to your auto, Part D, includes both collision and comprehensive coverage. This means it covers physical damage to the insured vehicle regardless of fault. B. Option A is incorrect because uninsured motorist coverage, Part C, is separate from Part D. Option C is incorrect as Part D applies to personal use of the vehicle, not commercial use. Option D is incorrect because theft is covered under comprehensive coverage even if the vehicle was not stolen from a locked garage. Question 60. In Maine, which coverage type under dwelling policy D2 would typically cover damage to rental property that is caused by a fire? A. Coverage dwelling. B. Coverage B. Other structures. C. Coverage C. Personal property. D. Coverage D. Fair rental value. Correct answer. D. Coverage D. Fair rental value. Explanation. Coverage D. Fair rental value under E2 policy compensates for lost rental income if the dwelling becomes uninhabitable due to a covered peril such as fire. D. Covered dwelling covers damage to the structure itself, while coverage B. Other structures covers other detached structures. Coverage C. Personal property covers the policyholder's personal property, not rental income. Question 69. James has a personal umbrella policy in Maine that provides an additional $1 million in liability coverage. After an accident in which he is found liable for damages exceeding his auto and homeowner's policy limits, he receives a judgment for $1.2 million. How much will James' personal umbrella policy cover? A. $200,000. B. $1 million. C. $1.2 million. D. $0. Correct answer A. $200,000. Explanation. James' personal umbrella policy will cover the amount exceeding his other policy limits up to its own limit. Since he received a judgment for $1.2 million and his existing auto and homeowners policies cover up to their respective limits, assuming these limits are lower than $1 million each, the umbrella policy would cover the difference between the judgment and the coverage provided by the underlying policies. If the underlying coverage is assumed to be $1 million combined, the umbrella policy would cover the remaining $200,000. A. The full amount of the judgment. C is not covered as it exceeds the umbrella policy's limit, and D is incorrect as the umbrella policy does provide coverage up to its limit. Question 70. In a personal auto policy PAP in Maine, what is the primary purpose of the medical payments coverage? Part B. A. To cover legal expenses arising from lawsuits due to accidents. B. To pay for repairs and replacement of damaged vehicles. C. To provide payment for medical expenses incurred by the insured and passengers, regardless of fault. D. To cover the cost of rental cars while the insured vehicle is being repaired. Correct answer. C. To provide payment for medical expenses incurred by the insured and passengers, regardless of fault. Explanation. Medical payments coverage, Part B, in a personal auto policy covers medical expenses for the insured and passengers in the insured vehicle regardless of fault. C. It does not cover legal expenses, A. Vehicle repairs, B. Or rental car costs, D. Which are covered under other parts of the policy or separate endorsements. Question 71. Which of the following perils is typically excluded from coverage under standard homeowners insurance policy HO3 in Maine? A. Fire and lightning. B. Theft. C. Earthquake. D. Vandalism. Correct answer, C. Earthquake. Explanation. A standard homeowners insurance policy HO3 generally excludes coverage for earthquakes, C, which require separate earthquake insurance policy. Perils like fire and lightning, A, theft, B, and vandalism, D, are typically covered under the HO3 policy. Earthquake coverage is considered an endorsement or a separate policy due to the high risk and potential cost associated with earthquake damage. Question 72. Sarah owns a vacation home in Maine and has a dwelling policy DP3 for it. During a severe storm, a large tree falls and damages the exterior of the vacation home. The policy covers damage due to wind, but excludes damage from falling objects. How much will Sarah's DP3 policy likely pay for the repair of the exterior damage? A. Full amount of the repair costs. B. A partial amount based on depreciation. C. Nothing, as damage from falling objects is excluded. D. Coverage for the loss of use of the vacation home. Correct answer, C. Nothing, as damage from falling objects is excluded. Explanation. Under dwelling policy DP3, which is an open perils policy, damage is covered unless specifically excluded. If the policy excludes damage from falling objects, Sarah's policy would not cover the repair costs for the damage caused by the fallen tree, even if the storm itself is covered. C. The policy would cover other perils if they were not excluded. Coverage for repair costs would only be provided if the cause of damage is covered by the policy and loss of use. D is not applicable in this context. Question 73. In a personal umbrella policy, what is typically considered the primary coverage layer? A. The umbrella policy's own coverage limits. B. The primary auto or homeowners insurance policy limits. C. The secondary auto or homeowners insurance policy limits. D. The excess coverage provided by the umbrella policy. Correct answer, B. The primary auto or homeowners insurance policy limits. Explanation. A personal umbrella policy provides additional liability coverage above the limits of the primary auto or homeowners insurance policies. B. The primary insurance limits serve as the first layer of coverage, while the umbrella policy provides excess coverage beyond those limits. The umbrella policy's own coverage limits, A, are applicable only after the primary limits have been exhausted, and the secondary insurance limits, C, are not relevant in this context. The excess coverage, D, provided by the umbrella policy kicks in after the primary coverage has been used up. Question 74. Which of the following is a key feature of inland marine insurance for valuable personal property? A. Coverage for damage to personal property while it is being transported. B. Coverage for property located solely within the insured's home. C. Coverage for watercraft and related equipment. D. Coverage limited to the structure of the dwelling. Question 75. John recently purchased a new home in Maine and is considering adding flood insurance to his existing homeowner's policy. What should John consider about the National Flood Insurance Program (NFIP) before making this decision? A. Flood insurance under NFIP will automatically cover damages from earthquakes. B. NFIP coverage is available only for properties within high-risk flood zones. C. The NFIP policy provides coverage for both building property and personal property. D. Flood insurance under NFIP can be included as an endorsement on a standard homeowners policy. Question 75. John recently purchased a new home in Maine and is considering adding flood insurance to his existing homeowner's policy. What should John consider about the National Flood Insurance Program (NFIP) before making this decision? A. Flood insurance under NFIP will automatically cover damages from earthquakes. B. NFIP coverage is available only for properties within high-risk flood zones. C. The NFIP policy provides coverage for both building property and personal property. D. Flood insurance under NFIP can be included as an endorsement on a standard homeowners policy. Correct answer, C. The NFIP policy provides coverage for both building property and personal property. Explanation. The National Flood Insurance Program (NFIP) provides coverage for both building property and personal property. C. This is crucial for John to know as it offers comprehensive coverage for flood damage beyond what is typically covered by a standard homeowners policy. NFIP coverage is not automatically included in a standard policy and requires a separate flood insurance policy. It is available regardless of flood zone designation. B. Does not cover earthquakes. A. And cannot be added as an endorsement but must be purchased separately. D. Question 76. Which of the following would typically be excluded under a standard homeowners policy? A. Damage caused by a sudden and accidental power surge. B. Loss due to neglect or failure to maintain the property. C. Fire damage resulting from a lightning strike. D. Theft of personal property during a covered peril. Correct answer. B. Loss due to neglect or failure to maintain the property. Explanation. A standard homeowners policy generally excludes losses that arise from neglect or failure to maintain the property. B. Such exclusions are meant to prevent coverage for damages that result from the homeowner's inaction or poor maintenance. Damage from a sudden and accidental power surge, A, and fire damage from a lightning strike, C, are typically covered under standard policies, as is theft during a covered peril. D. The policy is designed to cover sudden and unexpected events rather than those resulting from neglect or inadequate upkeep. Question 77. When dealing with uninsured motorist coverage in a personal auto policy, which of the following is true? A. It covers damages to the policyholder's vehicle caused by an uninsured driver. B. It provides coverage for medical expenses incurred by the policyholder in an accident with an uninsured driver. C. It covers damages to other vehicles when the policyholder is at fault. D. It includes coverage for personal property lost or damaged in an accident with an uninsured driver. Correct answer. B. It provides coverage for medical expenses incurred by the policyholder in an accident with an uninsured driver. Explanation. Uninsured motorist coverage, Part C of a personal auto policy, is designed to provide coverage for medical expenses incurred by the policyholder if they are involved in an accident with an uninsured driver. B. It does not cover damages to the policyholder's vehicle A or other vehicles if the policyholder is at fault. C. Additionally, it does not cover personal property lost or damaged in the accident. D. This coverage is specifically intended to protect the insured's medical costs and certain other losses when the at-fault driver is uninsured. Question 78. Emma, a homeowner in Maine, notices that her neighbor's tree has fallen on her garage during a storm, causing significant damage. Emma has a standard homeowners policy with the following coverages: dwelling coverage, other structures, and personal property. What should Emma consider regarding her coverage? A. The damage to the garage is covered under dwelling coverage. B. The damage to the garage is covered under personal property coverage. C. The damage to the garage is covered under other structures coverage. D. The damage to the garage is not covered under any of her current coverages. Correct answer. A. The damage to the garage is covered under dwelling coverage. Explanation. Under a standard homeowners policy, dwelling coverage typically includes damage to the structures attached to the home, such as the garage. This coverage applies to the repair or replacement of the dwelling and attached structures, including garages. Personal property coverage, B, is meant for personal belongings inside the home, not structural damage. Other structures coverage, C, is for structures not attached to the home, such as fences or detached sheds, but the garage is usually covered under dwelling coverage. If the garage were a separate structure not attached to the home, other structures coverage might apply, but in most cases, the garage is part of the dwelling. Question 79. In a personal auto policy, what is the primary purpose of the medical payments coverage? Part B. A. To provide coverage for the repair of the insured's vehicle after an accident. B. To cover medical expenses for injuries sustained by the insured and passengers regardless of fault. C. To offer compensation for lost wages due to an accident. D. To protect against legal liability for bodily injury caused to others. Correct answer. B. To cover medical expenses for injuries sustained by the insured and passengers regardless of fault. Explanation. Medical payments coverage, Part B, in a personal auto policy is designed to cover medical expenses incurred by the insured and their passengers due to injuries from an accident, regardless of fault. B. It does not cover vehicle repairs. A. Lost wages. C. Or legal liability for injuries to others. D. This coverage is specifically aimed at addressing medical costs, offering a broad scope of protection for bodily injuries sustained in an auto accident. Question 80. Which of the following is an example of an exclusion commonly found in personal umbrella policies? A. Claims related to personal injury caused by defamation. B. Coverage for damages resulting from an intentional act. C. Legal defense costs for a covered liability claim. D. Liability coverage for damages arising from the operation of a personal watercraft. Correct answer. B. Coverage for damages resulting from an intentional act. Explanation. Personal umbrella policies generally exclude coverage for damages resulting from intentional acts. B. This exclusion is in place because such acts are not considered accidents and are therefore not covered under umbrella policies. Coverage for personal injury claims, including defamation, is often included as a legal defense costs for covered claims. C. Liability for damages from operating a personal watercraft. D. May be covered, but it depends on the specifics of the policy and endorsements. Question 81. James, who lives in Maine, owns a valuable art collection insured under an inland marine policy. After a recent move, he discovers that some of his artwork was damaged due to improper handling by the movers. What type of coverage should James check to see if it applies? A. Personal property floater. B. Valuable personal property coverage. C. Personal effects coverage. D. Flood insurance. Correct answer. B. Valuable personal property coverage. Explanation. For valuable art collections, valuable personal property coverage B under an inland marine policy is the appropriate type of coverage. This coverage is designed to protect high-value items like art against risks that might not be covered under standard policies. Personal property floater A provides broader coverage for personal property but may not specifically address high-value items. Personal effects coverage C is more for personal items taken away from the home, and flood insurance D deals with damage due to flooding, which does not apply to the damage described in the scenario. Question 82. Which of the following best describes the most good faith principle in insurance contracts? A. Both parties in the contract must disclose all relevant information to each other before entering into the agreement. B. The insurance company must always offer the lowest premium possible to the insured. C. The insured is entitled to a refund of premiums if no claims are made during the policy period. D. The insurer is obligated to cover all types of losses, regardless of the policy terms. Correct answer A. Both parties in the contract must disclose all relevant information to each other before entering into the agreement. Explanation. The principle of what most good faith, also known as Eurimi Fide, requires both parties in an insurance contract to disclose all relevant information truthfully and completely. This principle ensures transparency and fairness in the contract. It does not entail offering the lowest premium, B. Refunding premiums if no claims are made, C. Or covering all types of losses regardless of policy terms, D. The principle is crucial for maintaining the integrity of the insurance contract. Question 83. Which of the following situations would be covered by a standard homeowner's policy HO3? A. Damage to a detached garage caused by an earthquake. B. Theft of personal property from a hotel room while traveling. C. Damage to the insured's primary residence due to a fire. D. Liability for injuries caused by a pet on a friend's property. Correct answer. C. Damage to the insured's primary residence due to a fire. Explanation. A standard homeowner's policy HO3 provides coverage for damage to the insured's primary residence from perils such as fire. C. It generally does not cover damage from earthquakes. A. Theft of personal property while traveling. B. Or liability for injuries caused by a pet on a friend's property. D. Coverage for such items might require additional endorsements or separate policies. The HO3 policy is typically broad in its coverage for the dwelling and its contents, but does have specific exclusions and limitations. Question 84. Ella, a Maine resident, recently bought a new boat and is considering insuring it. She wants coverage for physical damage to the boat, liability for injuries to others while boating, and protection in case other boaters cause damage. Which type of insurance should Ella obtain? A. Homeowners insurance. B. Personal watercraft insurance. C. Personal auto policy. D. Inland marine insurance. Correct answer. B. Personal watercraft insurance. Explanation. Ella should obtain personal watercraft insurance, B, to cover physical damage to her boat, liability for injuries to others, and protection against damage caused by other boaters. Homeowners insurance, A, typically does not cover boats. Personal auto policy, C, is for vehicles, and inland marine insurance, D, is more suited for high-value personal property rather than watercraft. Personal watercraft insurance is specifically designed to address the risks associated with owning and operating a boat or personal watercraft. Question 85. In a standard dwelling policy deeper 2, which of the following perils is covered? A. Flood damage, B. Earthquake damage, C. Fire damage, D. Damage from wear and tear. Correct answer. C. Fire damage. Explanation. A standard dwelling policy deeper 2 covers fire damage, C, along with a broader range of named perils compared to the deeper 1 policy. Flood damage, A, and earthquake damage, B, are not covered under a standard deeper 2 policy and would require separate policies or endorsements. Damage from wear and tear, D, is considered a maintenance issue and is not covered by any standard dwelling policy. Question 86. Which coverage part of a personal auto policy (PAP) provides protection for medical expenses incurred by the insured and passengers in the event of an accident, regardless of fault? A. Liability coverage, B. Collision coverage, C. Medical payments coverage, D. Uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage. Correct answer. C. Medical payments coverage. Explanation. Medical payments coverage, C, in a personal auto policy (PAP) provides protection for medical expenses incurred by the insured and passengers due to an accident, regardless of who is at fault. Liability coverage, A, addresses damage to others if the insured is at fault. Collision coverage, B, covers damage to the insured's own vehicle in a collision. And uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage, D, protects against damage caused by drivers with insufficient or no insurance. Medical payments coverage is specifically designed to handle medical costs directly. Question 87. Mr. Anderson's home in Maine was severely damaged by a tornado which destroyed part of the dwelling and caused significant loss of personal property. He has a standard homeowners policy, HO3. What should Mr. Anderson expect regarding coverage for the damage? A. Coverage for both the dwelling and personal property will be provided, minus a deductible. B. Only the dwelling will be covered, but not the personal property. C. Both the dwelling and personal property will be covered, but he needs to purchase separate flood insurance. D. Coverage will be limited to personal property only with no coverage for the dwelling. Correct answer. A. Coverage for both the dwelling and personal property will be provided, minus a deductible. Explanation. The standard homeowners policy, HO3, typically covers damage to both the dwelling and personal property due to a wide range of perils, including tornadoes, minus the deductible. A. It does not generally exclude personal property or require separate flood insurance. C. As tornado damage is covered under standard perils, coverage for the dwelling and personal property is included, with the deductible applied to both types of loss. Question 88. In the context of a personal umbrella policy, which of the following is true about the self-insured retention, sir? Provision. 8. The SIR applies only to liability claims that exceed the primary policy limits. B. The SIR is covered by the umbrella policy and does not need to be paid by the insured. C. The SIR is the amount the insured must pay before the umbrella policy provides coverage. D. The SIR is the deductible amount applied to claims covered by the primary insurance. Correct answer. C. The SIR is the amount the insured must pay before the umbrella policy provides coverage. Explanation. The self-insured retention, sir, in a personal umbrella policy, C, is the amount the insured must pay out of pocket before the umbrella policy starts providing coverage. It acts as a threshold that must be met before the umbrella policy kicks in to cover excess liability over the limits of the primary insurance. The SIR is not covered by the umbrella policy itself, B, nor is it applied only to claims exceeding the primary policy limits, A, or as a deductible within the primary insurance, D. Question 89. Which endorsement would be most appropriate for an insured who wishes to extend their homeowner's policy coverage to include personal property while traveling outside of their primary residence? A. Personal property floater. B. Dwelling coverage extension. C. Watercraft endorsement. D. Identity theft coverage. Correct answer A. Personal property floater. Explanation. A personal property floater is designed to extend coverage for personal property that the insured takes with them while traveling, providing broader protection than a standard homeowner's policy. The dwelling coverage extension B pertains to extending coverage to other structures on the property, not personal property while traveling. The watercraft endorsement C is for boats and similar watercraft and identity theft coverage. D deals with protection against identity theft, which does not address the travel coverage for personal property. Question 90. Ms. Williams is reviewing her homeowner's policy HO5 in Maine and discovers that her policy includes an endorsement for increased coverage limits on valuable personal property. She owns a collection of antiques that was recently appraised at $50,000. If her policy has a sublimit of $20,000 for collectibles, what should Ms. Williams do to ensure full coverage for her antique collection? A. Purchase a separate inland marine policy for the antiques. B. Increase the sublimit on her homeowner's policy to cover the full value of the antiques. C. Rely on the existing homeowner's policy coverage as the antiques are covered under the standard policy limits. D. Obtain a personal property floater to cover the antiques separately from her homeowner's policy. Correct answer B. Increase the sublimit on her homeowner's policy to cover the full value of the antiques. Explanation. To ensure full coverage for her antique collection valued at $50,000, Ms. Williams should increase the sublimit on her homeowner's policy B to match or exceed the full value of the antiques. A standard homeowner's policy may have sublimits for valuable items like collectibles, so adjusting these limits is necessary to cover their full value, while a personal property floater D could also provide coverage. Increasing the policy's sublimit is a more direct approach to ensure coverage within the existing policy. An inland marine policy A is not required if adjusting the sublimit suffices, and the standard coverage C will be inadequate due to the policy's sublimit.